The news is that Julian Lewis is scheduled to make a visit to Colorado. This coming from his father, told to Eli Letterman at ESPN, does a great job covering recruiting. But also, this really does put Colorado in a very good place to flip USC commit JuJu Lewis to Colorado, and has been documented for the better part of a year now. Boulder itself has been selling out to get JuJu on campus and to get him committed to play for Prime at Colorado. At the start of the season, this for me did not feel like it had that great a chance of being pulled off. If for no other reason than being committed to USC is being committed to Lincoln Riley, is being committed to perhaps being a Heisman contender, if not a Heisman winner. Many know that Lincoln Riley's claim to fame is quarterback development. He has created 3 Heisman Trophy winners, and one, right, that we know of is really damn good, okay? So Baker Mayfield's one, Kyler Murray's another, Caleb Williams is another, and then you can talk about Jalen Hurts and him being a Heisman runner-up in that really great year for Joe Burrow. And then last year, when Miller Moss basically took the job in the Holiday Bowl, we didn't see anybody coming out of the portal that was really going to challenge him. But Jaden Maiava did transfer from UNLV to USC. Also in this is Miller Moss hasn't been bad, but he hasn't been great. Is he playing on the level of Caleb Williams? Absolutely not. And that's not really his fault. That offensive line has its own problems. But more than that, he's got 2 years of eligibility left here. And I don't think that that part has been talked about as loudly as it should be for a guy like JuJu, who probably could start as a true freshman at most places in the country. Then there is the Indiana factor, which I didn't really think was that big a deal in June. And then Curt Cignetti got Indiana off to its best start since 1967. They are 7-0, and they could very well be 11-1 by the end of the year, depending on how you feel about them beating Ohio State. They could be 12-0, right? We know that Curtis Rourke has had a really great season. And going into the game against Nebraska, he was averaging about 292 yards through the air. And they didn't need him to do that because they were able to run the ball for 214 yards. And then he had a thumb injury that they said was going to keep him out indefinitely, but it sounds like he's going to be back sooner rather than later. And you know that that offense is quarterback friendly. You know that he's got all the answers to the test. The same thing is usually true at USC. The problem with USC right now is that it's a losing program. They are 3-4. And as much as we want that program to be decent in the Big Ten, it's just not holding up its end. Meanwhile, Colorado is enjoying its best start to a season since 2018. They're 5-2. Their losses are to Nebraska. It's not a bad football team. It's not a great football team, right? And then we go a little bit farther on down. You get to Kansas State. Kansas State loss, I thought, was more indicative of what Colorado didn't have on the field and what Kansas State could take advantage of. DJ Giddens got loose. Like 175 yards on the ground is getting loose. Avery Johnson needed to help them win that game, but Shedeur Sanders was basically playing the last half of the fourth quarter without 4 of the top 6 wide receivers in that room and without Travis Hunter, right? To say nothing of being able to run the football. Now, against Cincinnati, in a quietly big game in the Big 12, you're going to get 5-star JuJu Lewis on campus at a time when Shedeur Sanders is dealing. Between he and Brendan Sorsby, you're talking about 1-2 in passer rating in the Big 12. You're also talking about 2 teams that are 3-1 in conference, and again, 5-2. You're talking about Evan Pryor in the backfield for Cincinnati, and you're talking about a pass rush that, at least against other opponents, has proven it can get home, right? Cincinnati's got 17 sacks, and I believe their bookends got 4 and 4.5 apiece, right? Add to this, Travis Hunter will play. It's just about how much he's going to play. He's got 51 catches for 604 yards. He's got the 2 interceptions. I believe he's the Heisman Trophy winner. And I'm not really interested in talking about why he isn't. And I can point to all the ways in which I don't think that Ashton Genty's historical mark is going to get him to a Heisman Trophy. I think he's going to finish in the top 5, if not number 2 in the voting, but he ain't going to win. That said, having JuJu on campus is not about Travis Hunter or even about what Colorado is going to do this year. It is about what Colorado looks like right now and where the best fit for JuJu might be. I think the thing for you to take into account here is there is going to be a quarterback vacancy at Colorado next year. There's likely going to be a quarterback vacancy at Indiana next year. Ohio is where Curtis Rourke was coming from. That's why it was in my brain. 6-year grad transfer. I was also thinking that through as I was saying that out loud because there's a lot going on as I'm trying to articulate the point that I'm raising here. which is it feels like if you know you're going to have a vacancy at Colorado, you know that Colorado is trending toward being not just good, but competitive enough to make the college football playoff, if not this year, then next. And you see a Miller Moss who has the opportunity to return next year and is looking like he's going to do just that. But behind him is Jaden Maiava. And you're not sure if Indiana is going to be in a space where you want to be the quarterback there as a true freshman going into your first year of Big Ten play. Perhaps the easiest and smartest decision is to flip your commitment to Colorado. It's a lot to unpack there, but I think you're already seeing the motions here because JuJu was supposed to make a visit to Indiana for the Nebraska game. He did not go. That tells you something, okay? We know what USC is. We know what Lincoln Riley has been. But the thing about USC and Lincoln Riley is, while it has been great for the quarterbacks, it has been just so-so for everybody else. USC is 11-11 in its last 22 games with Riley as head coach. You know that you're probably going to have wide receivers throw the ball to. You're probably going to have a decent run game. Your defense might be good. But are you going to win championships? Are you going to be the kind of program that competes in the college football playoff with an attitude about winning it? At a place like USC, that's what I expect. I expect you to be playing for championships, but USC looks further away from playing for a national championship than Penn State does right now, right? Than Texas does right now. These are their contemporaries as far as I'm concerned. When you talk about winning 11 national championships in football, and you talk about what Matt Leinart, Reggie Bush, even Sam Darnold have meant to that program, to let alone guys like Caleb Williams and Carson Palmer, you need to win at the highest level. That means you need to win the Big Ten championship. You need to be what Oregon is right now. Oregon is the number one team in the country. I think JuJu has enough star power and enough talent to be a ready-made fit for whatever it is that Pat Sherman would like to run with him next year while they continue to build toward a sustainable winning culture in Colorado. You know, you're also going to get Jordan Seaton in his sophomore year, and he has proven to be really, really great as a left tackle at Colorado. He's been very, very good, and he's going to get challenged against the Cincinnati pass rush, but you also get your eyes on that. So now you're going to get to see how Shedeur Sanders operates this offense. You're going to probably spend a lot of time with him. You're going to get to know the offensive line, in particular Jordan Seaton. You're going to see this engine that Prime has built up close and personal with your family. I think him getting on campus is a tremendous win for Colorado because Prime is one of the best sales closers in the sport. He gets this reputation for being lazy as a recruiter because he wants people to come to him. And I'm going, I understand his philosophy on that. You want him to come to you to see your house. Why? You know, your house is your house. Where your son is going to spend most of his time for 3, 4, 5 years is in Colorado. So why not just spend that time with him in the house that he is recreating? Also, I don't mind saying this. Prime is 5-2 at a time when Florida State is 1-6. USC is 3-4. Oklahoma is 4-3. Michigan is bad. You're in a really great spot if you're JuJu because you're desired and you're wanted. But to be desired and wanted at USC is not to be desired and wanted to Colorado, because all of the glitz and glam that we expect to go to a Hollywood-based program like USC is ending up in Boulder, Colorado. And one of the things that you have going for you over there is one of the things you don't have going for you in LA. Everybody in Boulder is about the University of Colorado. In LA, you might rank 5th, right? The Dodgers are going to open the World Series on Friday with the greatest baseball player who has ever lived batting leadoff. You're not going to compete with that with Rutgers USC at 10 o'clock, right? I think that's a great game to have after the fact. And I'm going to watch the hell out of it because I love college football. But I'm also not going to tell you to go watch Boise State UNLV when the World Series Game 1 is on between the Yankees and the Dodgers. Meanwhile, Colorado's going to play a Saturday night game at 9:15 p.m. Eastern Time, so you get the late kick, and you're going to get the full broadcast network, and you know what time it is when you get to Boulder. It is prime time. And JuJu Lewis looks like a prime time player.